So I decided for a series of 5 videos or so, I am going to pick my favorite ideas from Kill You're in a Loser. I can never say his name on fucking camera. Andy. I'm going to pick Andy's favorite ideas because he does this with me. He does a series called Radical Ideas where he nicks my videos and talks about my ideas in his own way, so it's not stealing. And I do the same thing with some of his stuff. And I'm picking random things. I'm not even going to pick necessarily whole videos. I'm just going to pick random things he's said and like riff on them. So to start with, this is just a question he got asked by someone, and I want to give my own answer, so I'm going to nick his question. That is, do you think about death? Now, I quite enjoyed listening to Andy and Imi give answers to this question because I think you get quite different answers from everyone as to how they think about death and how it interacts with their day-to-day. Because Andy said he thinks about death a lot, whereas Imi said she thinks about other people dying more than she thinks about her own death. And I'm very much in Imi's camp in that matter. I'm very much someone who, I fear the death of those that I love and the people that are around me way more than I fear my own death or even think about my own death. Like, realistically, the only thing I'm really concerned of is the pain of dying. But beyond that, like, when my time comes, I'll deal with it. I'm sure it's going to be quite a traumatic, if I'm aware of it beforehand, it's going to be quite a traumatic experience knowing that you're going to die and having to accept this. But it's not something that plays on my mind on a day-to-day, which it seems to be the exact opposite of Andy. It seems to be quite a heavy driver for him, this knowledge that he will die one day and he needs to get a move on and do things. I think that's great. If your fear of death pushes you to do great things, fucking lean into that, like use it as a driver, use it as motivation. But for me, like, no, I just don't think about it very often, like, it's an inevitability that I guess I'm at peace with and doesn't take up a whole lot of my time thinking about. Regards, like, knowing that my grandparents would die was tough on me when I was younger. Like, knowing that they were quite old and then they eventually did pass away, and it was the hardest deaths I've ever had to deal with were my grandparents. And I hate the idea that my parents will die. I hate the idea that my closest friends will one day die. And I've already lost a couple of friends to cancer. So I've had to go through that as well. To some extent, I'm getting numb to that part of it as well. So I'm numb to my own death and I'm numb to the others. I shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be arrogant about this. Like, I haven't faced my own mortality. So like, I can't pretend to be like some arrogant, like, I don't fear death sort of person. So yeah. I fear wasting my own potential more than I fear dying. I know that for certain. So I guess I fear getting old. Like, I fear getting to the point where I can no longer, like, I have no more runway left. Like, so the fear of getting old is there. Like, I definitely have that. I remember when Andy said when he started losing his hair, and like we've both dealt with the insecurity of going bald, obviously. But he saw it as like a reminder that he'll die. And I just saw it as an impediment to my self-improvement goals. Like, the main thing was, oh shit, it's going to be harder to get laid now, was the main thought I had when I started losing my hair. And my vanity, like, it was a huge hit to my vanity to start losing my hair. Although I never really had good hair. Like, I had quite wavy, messy, didn't do what I wanted it to do hair. So I've actually never been, I was getting quite happy with my hair when it was starting to thin out when I was like 21. Because it started actually like combing the direction I wanted it to. It always used to be like thick but fine when I was younger. Sorry, I got into hair again. But no, yeah, death is not something that I think about too often. I think I'm much happier for not stressing over my own mortality. And I don't have any advice to people who think about death a lot. Sorry, I've never had to get over this. So maybe this wasn't the most interesting and useful video for you guys, but you've made it this far into the video. I thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.